My name's Monix. My pronouns are he or they. I moved to California in 2021 as an AmeriCorps Vista. I was coming here with my child, with my 12-year-old, because things in Ohio were getting really messy with family. People weren't understanding my transition. I had been out in queer and polyamorous for a long time, but it just wasn't working. And then things kind of came to a head with the pandemic, like they did for so many other folks in so many situations. And at the time, it felt like the other family of my children was not accepting of my transition, and it all just kind of blew up one night. Anyway, that was kind of the deciding moment, and I talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer said, well, you should cut off contact with them. This has been a lot over many years since I was 14 when I met this family, and then 16 when I had my first child. That it was just a lot. And I left and I came here to California. And immediately I started looking for organizations that would just make me feel like I had the right to be a parent. I moved here because of access to organizations like Our Family Coalition. And so immediately I started going to the trans parenting group, and it was just good to be able to come to a space. Not everybody had a story like mine where they were essentially fleeing some situation to come to California, but a lot of people had similar issues and things that they were struggling with, and it was cool just to be in a space that was affirming, not just to me as a queer person, but to me as a queer person and a parent. There are so many other queer spaces in the city where you can go, but that it's weird if I take my kid or we go together. So to have a space where we could both be together that was queer affirming was like huge, huge. So then I knew about Our Family Coalition, and then through them I learned about the Camp It Up program. And I wouldn't have gotten to hear about that if it wasn't through word of mouth, sitting at that table, hearing from OFC. And that was also life-changing. And a lot of the people who were at OFC, I ended up seeing at camp, and that was great.
How did you learn about OFC?
I reached out to the LGBT Center and said, hey, this is what we're coming from and this is what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And they maybe sent me an email with a million orgs, and then I got flooded with, these are, all the things. Mm-hmm. So then I started looking for specifically queer and trans and parent in the Bay Area. They were already kind of on my radar as this other thing happened. In November, I was out singing with my chorus. I'm part of New Voices, the Bay Area Trans and Gender Nonconforming Chorus. Mm-hmm. And I was out singing for Trans Day Remembrance. Mm-hmm. And when I got home, my kiddo called me into their room and said, hey, while you were gone, I went through this person, my husband's device, and they said that they found stuff with adults and kids. And I asked some clarifying questions, which told me exactly what I did not want to hear. And then I proceeded to act accordingly. And all that mess later, I showed up at Our Family Coalition, and they listened to my story. And I remember at the time I was just showing up hoping that there would be some food vouchers, as there had been some food vouchers before. And they were able to help me not only with some food vouchers and maybe a gift card, I think, for a grocery store, but also they had some emergency funds, and they helped me with like half of 1 month's rent. And here in SF, that was a chunk of change. They helped me with $1,000. And that was good. That kind of kept my landlords at peace. So being able to disclose what had happened and express all the ways that we were looking for and asking for help, and having them work with me and then not turn around and report everything someplace. But they just helped, and they listened, and they showed up. And then after that initial financially impacted help, I found out about their connections through the Liberation Institute, which was the therapists organization. We are on our second therapy session. I think that's going well. So the person that we got has a few years on me, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
Years of experience do make a difference, and she has been wonderfully affirming and kind and respectful. I don't know. It's been good so far.
Can you share any specific instances or anecdotes that highlight the positive impact of OFC's services on your well-being?
There's a comfort that just comes with knowing that there's somebody I can call, even though initially it's always kind of activating to tell this story. And once I was able to tell it, to be able to go someplace where people knew, and I didn't have to necessarily talk about it again, but I could show up and get dinner and people know that I've just been through something. On those family nights was a huge comfort. To know that I had something I could look forward to, because that was another thing I didn't look forward to a lot for a while. But I did look forward to coming to these meetings.
What was it that you looked forward to with the meetings and the support groups?
Just community. Yeah. A few folks to talk with. Maybe have an opportunity to laugh if it presented itself. Food, a meal shared with other adults, just to be around other adults. I would love to see some kind of group that talks about the impact of family violence, that's specifically there to talk about interfamily violence. And to have a queer space to talk about that within the family. To talk about not just resources, but to dream, future dreaming about what it looks like beyond what we have, to be able to network, have that space for networking, about how we might create some kind of a phone list of, oh, hey, this happened in your family, call us, we'll come meet you, not to inflict violence on this other person, but to just step in and say, hey, what you're doing isn't okay, or hey, you need to leave this house now, and we are going to stand here and hold you accountable until you get your things and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And a million other things that I can't begin to articulate because the space is needed to talk about them, right?
Right.
Space and time is needed. That would be really, really cool to see.